This is the city of Hereford, home to a glorious cathedral, and this week I'm discovering how the Christian faith is at the heart of the place and its people. Welcome to Songs of Praise. Coming up, we've a special treat from jazz singer Gregory Porter, who chats to JB Gill and performs a song especially for us. I'll be meeting a Christian whose family has been running the same farm for 4 generations.
I believe we're here to be stewards of the countryside, and we're just looking after it for God, and we will try and do that to the best of our ability.
And I discover Hereford's hidden gems, including the largest surviving medieval map of the world, the Mappa Mundi.
This is Hereford Cathedral's greatest treasure. It was a really high status, valuable object.
So it's right here in Hereford Cathedral that we begin. On Wednesday it's the Christian feast day of All Saints, and so we open with a hymn perfect for the occasion. Hereford has had a cathedral for over 900 years, and over many generations it's become an historical treasure trove. As well as housing an original copy of the famous Magna Carta, the cathedral's museum has one object that the Chancellor Chris Pullin is very proud of.
This is Hereford Cathedral's greatest treasure, the Mappa Mundi. It dates from about the year 1300, and it's a spiritual map, really. It's not a map that would be very useful in getting you anywhere, but what it shows you is what people believed about the creation they lived in at that time. It's telling you about the spiritual succession of history.
So is Hereford on here?
It is, but it's hard to see because it's been rubbed off, I think, by the fingers of people down the ages saying, we are here, you know. When we take it out of its frame every couple of years to do a proper check of it, you get that much closer and you see the absolute beauty and skill, the fluency of all the lines, how beautifully it was drawn.
it still looks stunning. It's breathtaking.
It does. We think that during the English Civil War it was hidden under a floor for a bit. That might be why it's a bit grubby. It could be the dirt fell through the floor and got on top of it.
The cathedral is also famous for its ornate shrine to St Thomas of Hereford.
He was Bishop of Hereford from 1275, but he was also very feisty. They say he had red hair, and he fell out big time with the Archbishop of Canterbury. Bad news, because the Archbishop exiled him to Italy, and there he died. His bones were returned here to Hereford, and in 1287, an amazing series of miracles began. And when they totted these up in 1307, they found that there were 450 examples of people who had been healed here in Hereford. But eventually in 1320, he was made a saint, St Thomas of Hereford, and this became his shrine. And in the front, you've got a rather lovely icon showing Thomas, our Thomas, and then angels are holding up the Mappa Mundi.
What's the role of the shrine today?
People are drawn to it, but they're drawn to it to say their prayers. And above all, he's somebody who inspires prayer to Jesus. That's how I see him.
Our next hymn also has a local connection. The tune is called Hereford, and it's written by Samuel Sebastian Wesley, organist here in the 1800s. O thou who camest from above. As well as being home to one of the finest cathedrals in the country, the city of Hereford has a thriving livestock market, where of course you can buy and sell Hereford cattle. And not far away from there is the 100-year-old Rudge family farm. Esther and the 4 generations before her have had their fair share of challenges along the way, but the Christian faith has always been at the heart of what they do. Farming's not always easy, is it?
No, it does have its difficult times, especially cattle. We've had like BSE, foot and mouth, and the weather. We're so dependent on the weather, storms. We've got a really bad apple harvest this year because we had a late frost in May. So that's farming, very dependent on weather.
In the 21st century, traditional farming alone rarely pays its way. So farmers like Esther and her husband Henry have found ways to diversify.
We do beef and sheep and cereals, which is a traditional sort of Herefordshire farm. About 10 years ago we went into growing apples, and now we've also gone into quite a bit of renewable energy. Just try to keep moving with the times. We do some firewood as well, kiln-dried firewood. There we've also gone into anaerobic digester.
What on earth is an anaerobic digester? Did I even say that right?
Yes, you did. It's a way of making electricity from cow muck, basically. I believe we're here to be stewards of the countryside, and we're just looking after it for God, and we will try and do that to the best of our ability. We believe it's important to manage it well, because we're looking after God's creation.
Things have not always been easy in the family either, have they?
No, as one of the times we've really seen God at work in our lives is our second daughter Stephanie was diagnosed with cancer when she was 2. That was a really tough time. It was one of those days when you look out the window and you can't understand why cars are still moving. You know, you've just been told your daughter's got cancer, and we were told that there was no chance of Steph surviving. But at one particular time, I remember just closing the door and the peace that flooded through. And I phoned my sister a little bit later and found out they'd had a prayer meeting at church that night. Sorry, it made me a bit teary. and there's no coincidence that peace that we felt was just when that prayer meeting was going on.
Stephanie survived, and 26 years on is a mother herself and regularly works on the farm.
Steph is fantastic. She's got 3 kids and a really strong Christian faith.
That's amazing.
It is brilliant, yes, it is. Ultimately, it's God, it's having his peace with us and his strength, that person to turn to, the person who saved us, who's redeemed us. That's what keeps us going through this.